7,000 years ago, the first really oceanic people came out of China, and it came out of Taiwan. Then you get to Polynesia, this oceanic country bounded by Hawaii in the north and New Zealand in the southwest, and Rapa Nui in the east. 10 million square miles, bigger than Russia. And it was discovered by these extraordinary people. They were really the astronauts of our ancestors. They were the greatest explorers on the face of the earth.
Unaided by modern instruments, these extraordinary explorers discovered and settled every livable landmass in the Pacific, relying solely on a complex understanding of stars, winds, waves, and other cues from nature. Guided by this traditional wisdom and perspective, Hawaiians mastered the science of living sustainably on islands. Western expansion, however, brought not only new ways of seafaring, but a shift in perspective of how to interact with the natural environment. Eventually, traditional practices and worldviews were nearly forgotten. But a group of determined individuals got together in the 1970s to resurrect indigenous wisdom by building a traditional canoe and sailing it in the way of the ancestors. Hokulea's first voyage to Tahiti reawakened a cultural pride and identity and an intimate connection to place. In a generation, Hokulea has sailed over 140,000 nautical miles to reunite the world's largest oceanic nation. Today, Hokulea voyages around the planet with the message of Malama Honua, caring for island Earth, with a firm belief that blending traditional and new technologies will help us to find our way to a more sustainable future.
Hokulea, to us, to go around the world, has this enormous potential to go to 40, 50 countries on the planet, to be with the great navigators on Earth. And I'm not talking about those in canoes. I'm talking about those who are doing things to give kindness and compassion to the Earth and those who live on it. Those navigators. We're not going to change the world, but we're going to go and build a network of people around the Earth who are going to change it. And our job is to help them be successful.
After voyaging more than 2 years and 24,000 nautical miles, Hokulea arrived in New York City to celebrate World Oceans Day at the United Nations headquarters. The gathering marked a historic moment as ocean protection declarations collected from around the globe were presented to UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon. But the crew also recognized one local group who is restoring the Hudson River by taking a short ferry ride to Governor's Island, the home base of the Billion Oyster Project.
So these are our nursery trays. You can see that there's so many living things in the water, in just a matter of a couple weeks they get covered with invertebrates. The Billion Oyster Project is a restoration and education project aimed at restoring a sustainable oyster population in New York Harbor and reigniting in New Yorkers a passion and appreciation for the harbor. And we do that by growing oysters here on Governor's Island with New York Harbor School and building reefs. And through our schools program now, we have 60 schools throughout the city where we train math and science teachers to teach their lessons through the lens of oyster restoration.
The project aims to distribute 1 billion live oysters around 100 acres of reef by 2030 to rehabilitate New York City's marine ecosystem, and its success in galvanizing schools, government organizations, as well as nonprofits made it an incredible learning opportunity for Hokulea and the Malama Honua crew.
We're bringing them here to learn about how the school is integrated into a community-wide restoration project that is looking at the one of the most polluted waterways in the area, the Hudson River, and using oyster remediation, a technology that was in existence here for hundreds of years that went away for a while because of human impact, using the Billion Oysters project to bring back that natural habitat and to incorporate experiential education and innovation and community efforts to better their environment.
This is similar to New York Harbor, really foggy so you can't even see the bridges or any of the other boats.
The group participated in discussions and tours of classrooms and facilities at New York Harbor School. It was a time of deep thought and conversation for Hawaii students, government officials, and especially our educational leadership.
I think it's really important that we're here at Governor's Island to learn about the Billion Oyster Project because we are at a critical place as an education system.
There's a lot of opportunities, I think.
I'm wondering from this experience, how can we come together to really utilize education to solve our problems, both locally, nationally, and at a global level. That's the beauty of Malama Honua. It helps to galvanize us around a central purpose and a central theme.
Hokulea then continued along the East Coast through New England, making stops at Martha's Vineyard, Boston, Port Smith, and Portland, Maine, before arriving in Nova Scotia, Canada, to witness a unique natural phenomenon.
Hello, this is Kalepo Baibayan. I'm here with a team of two other people, Naleo Anthony and Kiala Kimura, and we are on the shores of New Brunswick at a place called Hopewell Rocks. And what's real special about this story that we're attempting to capture is the amazing change in tides.
But here in the Bay of Fundy, you get a higher than average tidal range because of the unique geography of the bay. We're about 1/3 of the way into the Bay of Fundy here in Digby, so our tidal range is about 8 meters. But as you progress farther into the bay, it narrows and the water rises to a higher level, and the tidal range can be up to 50 feet or more.
In about an hour, that archway in the background there will be full of water. It is 28 feet from the limits of the low tide to the bottom of that archway, and then there's another 18 feet above it that's going to fill up with water. So that's approximately 44 feet. The tide range is going to change. It's going to be an amazing thing to see.
Hokulea then turned southwards to venture hundreds of miles inland through a complex series of locks that raise the va'a more than 400 feet above sea level.
So the lock is basically a big bathtub with 2 gates on it. You open the doors to this huge bathtub, you come in, then the doors close, and it's either gonna fill with water or it's gonna let water out and it's gonna lower you down. And so once you're at the proper level, then the doors open, they turn the green light on and you exit. The number one issue with towing Hokulea into a lock is that Hokulea has no auxiliary power. As a towboat tows us guys forward, once that towboat stops, we're gonna keep on moving ahead, so we need to stop the canoe. Now, as we're entering the lock, we're moving very, very slowly, not faster than 2 knots of speed. You need a lot of control. You need people that are nimble and can reach out and grab these lines that are hanging. And then once you're in the lock and once you're stopped, it's either a matter of floating upwards or floating downwards to the level of the lake level outside of the lock. And then it's about exiting with a lot of control so that you're not banging the sides of the canoe. And that's basically the process. By the end of the leg, this crew would have locked 61 times. That's 61 individual times through varying locks.
After exploring the many communities along the coastline and interior of the Northeast, one of the most memorable stops was Tangier Island in the Chesapeake Bay, where rising sea levels threaten the homes and way of life for the tight-knit residents.
They're traveling all over the world, taking their time and giving their time, traveling all over the world to let people know about their heritage. And we're losing our heritage, and we're going to lose it. We know this.
We found Tangier as part of the research, but initially it came out of the research as this enormous environmental challenge.
There's some areas along Tangier we were losing 25 to 30 feet of shoreline each year.
These people would be the first refugees to climate change and the consequence of sea level rising. And that's how we initially saw why we would come, to capture that story of a drowning community.
This has been going on forever, but we're just running out of land to give up now. And like I tell folks, when it gets to your doorstep, you pay more attention to it. So we're really running out of time and land, and we really need to get some protection for the island.
As one of the first communities in the United States to suffer the consequences of a combination of environmental issues, including rising sea levels and erosion, Tangier Island, Virginia was an imperative stop for the crew of Hokulea to learn about the plight of these fellow islanders.
I'm gonna ask you guys a bunch of questions about your life on your island. And
having the Hokulea here and the crew, I had read some about the vessel and the voyages that she had made, and but to actually have her to come into Tangier as part of their world voyage, it's just unbelievable that they made us a part of their voyage, and that they came into our harbor, and that I actually got to sail on the vessel.
It was good. I wouldn't take it out of my life like this. I told my wife, ready to go home now, ready to go home. This is a good thing in my life. And it was a scary thought too, to go out there. I got a picture of your ancestors on that boat. They knew the Lord too. You better believe they did. They had somebody on their side, they do.
To have them on the deck of their canoe, and then to have the kinds of conversations that we have with them. These are ocean people, and they pride themselves on that. And, they don't call themselves refugees, even though on the outside there's this suggestion that they're going to be the first refugees to climate change in the United States. They're not willing to be lowered to that kind of definition and that kind of standard.
Tangier's a unique place. It's a very close-knit community. The people are close together, they help each other. And on Tangier, everybody knows everybody else. And we've been fishermen and crabbers for, a couple hundred years now. And it's a very nice place to grow up. It's a nice place for kids. It's a safe place. And being a fisherman or crabber, it can be a hard way of life sometimes. But like any job, it has its ups and downs, but it's, all in all, it's very nice. I enjoy it. When a female is going to shed for its last time, it will get pink and blue colors here.
now it's got more red in it.
Yeah, that one's got more red. Yep.
I've always thought life on Tangier was a good life. I mean, the heritage that we got, and the love that we have for each other.
Being with them and talking to them, they are committed to their home, they're committed to their place, they're committed to their children. I mean, they are very family oriented.
The community of Tangier is actively working with the federal government and the Army Corps of Engineers to look at options that will prevent further loss of land on Tangier Island.
These are hard-working people, and they're going to find a solution. Their great-grandparents did it, their grandparents did it, their parents did it, and they're going to do it. This place, Tangier, is a lot like Hawaii. It's been very powerful being in the place and with the people to help us rethink what's really important. It's been a place where I come to be very thoughtful about when I go home, what am I going to do?
Met some people just like me. You are. You've got the same heart that I got, and that's good.
I've made friends, new friends that I'll never forget, and you've had an impact not only on me, but in the whole community. Different citizens have been talking to me about the boat, your voyage, and the people that you're a caring, humble people, and you've made a big impact on them. So thank you.
But that's the power of the canoe and voyaging, and the magic of the worldwide voyage is that you end up in places with people and you make connections you could never imagine until you go.